Hey everyone, Brendan Sander here. How are you? Thanks so much for joining me and welcome to another episode of New Music Finds. This is where I like to collect together all the things that I picked up over the past week, present it to you, give you a little bit of background on it. And after numerous weeks of not having very much, in fact, the previous week I only had one item and it wasn't even a CD. I've got 22 things to run through with you guys. So I'm finally back where I normally am and it's been great. I mean, look at the smile on my face. I've really been enjoying the stuff that I picked up and it's been a long time coming. I was just in such musical doldrums, not really finding anything that excited me. And then it finally happened. So I'm going to get into all that. I'm going to explain what that is, where it came from, what I found. We'll do it in just a bit. But before we start, if you're new to my channel and haven't already hit the subscribe button, please do. Also leave a comment, hit like. All those things do help support my channel. I'd greatly appreciate it. And of course, as an added bonus, by turning on notifications, you'll never miss an episode and stay up to date on really cool things like this with New Music Finds. So as I always do, I kick off with new releases, and one of the major ones that came out was the brand new Helloween Giants and Monsters album. Fantastic. This album here, for me at least, speaks a lot to what they did in the 80s, their heyday, from albums like Keeper of the Seven Keys Parts 1 and 2. It leans much more on the hard rock metal side than, say, the power metal or the speed metal or the that sort of stuff that they've done. Not to say that that isn't here. There are less of what I call the epic songs and more of the straight ahead songs. But for me, I really like that. This album, it clicked with me immediately. The song sounded right to me, and I've just enjoyed it nonstop. For me, at least, one of the best albums of 2025 so far. I have done a full review of this. If you want to hear more about it, I will leave a link in the description to that review. All right, next one, also did a review for this one, and I'm talking about the new 2025 remix of the Deep Purple album, Rapture of the Deep. I'm a big Deep Purple fan. I always liked this album when it came out in 2005. Never really got the love that it deserved. I'm glad to see that a new light is being shown on it. 20 years on, 20th anniversary, they've remixed it. They added in 2 tracks that weren't available on all or in all territories because, as I understand, like the US edition has the song or had the song MTV, but other territories didn't get it. And then the other song is Things I Never Said, and I only ever got that on a deluxe edition 2 CD set of the original Rapture of the Deep when they did like an import touring edition or something, and I picked that up. But now, 12 tracks on here, both of those extra songs, new sequence to it, new remix. I think it sounds a lot better. I never had a problem with the original, but in listening back to it, it does have a bit of a muddy sound, and this thing cleans that up, makes it really, really good. So there's also a bonus CD in here of 5 additional unreleased recordings. You get the song MTV Money Talks back to back, Before Time Began, and Closing Note, which is a cool instrumental song by Steve Morris on here. But all 5 of these instrumental songs or versions, and it's just really great to hear the complexity of the music that Deep Purple writes and composes and plays that sometimes gets lost, I think, when the vocals are over it. As much as I love Ian Gillan, it is great to hear these as just instrumentals. So really, really enjoyed this. And as I said, I did a full review, so I'm going to also leave a link to that in the description. Now, because I was on a bit of a Deep Purple kick with that, and I am a big fan of Deep Purple, and I headed to Sound Exchange in Wayne, New Jersey to hang out and see Anthony. Unfortunately, we did not record anything. He just was too busy. I am going to try and see if we can rearrange schedules to try to get some time where we can film another Sound Exchange session. If you're a fan of those and notice that we haven't done one in about 2 months, our schedules aren't aligning right now. But I digress and get back to the new music finds that I picked up. And so I went ahead and picked up made in Japan, the box set. I mean, there's just so many reasons why in the end of the day I decided to grab it. First and foremost, I really like the Steven Wilson remix of the original live album. I listened to it digitally. It connected with me immediately. I listened to it in the store with Anthony. I loved it. And I just said, you know what? I want to get it. But I also like box sets that are this size. If this had been the size that the Machine Head box, which was the size of the 12-inch record type case, I don't think I would have picked it up, but I love these. This is just a beautiful, perfect size. It's enough to make it more than it is, but it's not so much packaging that it's just too much. So I like the clamshells, but they're just a little too small. These you can fit bigger books and posters and things like that in, so I love it. You get the individual packaging of the CDs in these, which you don't usually get in those 12-inch style book ones. So just lots of reasons. In the end of the day, I saw it and it was like an impulse buy. You know, if you see something and you kind of want it, you're more likely to pick it up. So when this was just something that I could order and had to wait on, I wasn't going to do it. But Anthony got me because he had it in stock, and so I picked it up. I haven't decided if I'm going to do a review on this or not. I mean, it's been out for a little bit, plenty of reviews out there in the world, but if you'd like to get my take on this, let me know. Perhaps I'll go ahead and put one together anyway for it if there's enough people that are interested in it. And before I do the last new release pickup, because I'm on a whole Deep Purple thing, while I was there, I found this live album from 2013, one of Deep Purple's official bootleg releases that they've been doing. And this is with the Steve Morse era of the band, which I absolutely love. And it's for their album Now What, which I think is one of the greatest modern day era Deep Purple albums, period, but also throughout their career. I just love that album. And so this being a live tour from it and seeing they did a number of the songs on here and looking at what the overall track listing was, including opening with the song Fireball as opposed to Speed King or Highway Star or whatever that they normally open with, I just got excited about this. And when I'm on a Deep Purple kick, I'm picking stuff up. And there isn't anything studio-wise left for me to get from the band. So it really comes down to live releases and things like that, or these remixes. But you know, when you're wanting some more by your favorite artist, that's pretty great. I mean, we got the brand new album Equals One last year. I still listen to that and I'm still enjoying it. I hope we don't have to wait 4 years for another Deep Purple studio album. I mean, the clock is ticking for all these guys. So maybe if we're lucky, we'll get something in 2 years, because I would like to get one more album with Simon McBride kind of before they call it a day or something unfortunate happens. Just because it's such a great album. I mean, if they go out on top with that album, I'm okay with it. But at the same time, I would like one more album to sort of solidify the Simon McBride era as not just being a one-off thing. Okay, I went ahead and picked up the Smashing Pumpkins Machina album. Machina, and what is this? The full title of this is Machina, The Machines of God. So he does a reissue, and on LP, if you went to the website, you could actually get a box set of this, Machina 1, and Machina 2, which is made up of an LP and 2 EPs that got released direct to the internet, leaked by, you know, the band. They gave out 4 records or whatever that they cut of these things to people and told them to upload it to places like Napster and whatever. And it was a big FU to the record label, and they've never been officially released until now, but only on LP and only through the website. And it's like $800 for that box set. So I'm like, F you, Billy Corgan. But they did release the remastered edition of the album. And to my ears, this sounds like a remix. There is enough differences in this here that it does not feel like a straight remaster. And when I go on Apple Music, 3 of the tracks are called out in parentheses next to it. It says 2025 remix. next to it. So even though the hype sticker and anything else I could find on the internet just says it is a 2025 remaster, I think this is in fact a remix. Maybe just not being promoted as such because sometimes remixes leave a bad taste in people's mouths. And I think he just, he wanted to tweak and do what he wanted to do. He's calling it a remaster. It's the new 2025 version, whatever. But it sounds great. I really like it. So I went ahead and picked it up, took the chance on it. I'm glad I did because, like I said, to my ears, it does sound like a remix, and it's worth having this version over the original version. All right, so as I said, I went to Sound Exchange. I found a bunch of things. I got 22 things to run through with you guys. So Anthony and Sound Exchange, the store, did a big buy from somebody who was into hard rock, heavy metal, glam metal, but like mid to late 80s, early 90s sounding stuff, which is my bread and butter. It's my cup of tea. It is right where I sit. I came into music around 87, really, finding my own stuff at that point. And from that era on up to like 1992, 93, even 94 is like my favorite time frame of rock music. So I found a bunch of that stuff. This is the band Shy, but when it came out here in the States, they had to be called Shy England, Misspent Youth. And this is 1989, although I think this album might have come out in 88, like in Europe, and they got a little bit later release here, because I've seen 88 on it sometimes. I'm seeing 89 written on the back of it, but like I said, I know this is a US release on MCA Records. And man, I've got later era stuff by the band because Tony Mills, who sings here, would later sing for TNT, and that's what drove me to the band. But I didn't have any of this earlier stuff, and this is a fantastic glam metal album. I don't really know if the band was considered glam metal or not. I mean, look at the picture on the backside, it would scream it, but they've got a couple albums before this and go back, I believe, to 1983. I have ordered a couple Rock Candy Records albums that come before this one here, including Access All Areas, which I believe was 1987 and their most popular. So I'm going to find out a little bit more about the band. But man, I got to tell you, this one here clicked with me. If you've never checked out Shy and Misspent Youth, and maybe find it under Shy England in the US market, really good. All right, now this band just put out a brand new album, and I never listened to anything by them, but I recognized their logo, knew that they came from the 80s, and so I picked it up, AOR melodic rock group called Alien. And this is the debut album. It has a very different type of logo on here than the one that I knew them from that's on their current album. But this is on Virgin Music, and I think this is also 89. I don't have my glasses with me, but I think that it is. And I didn't expect much from it. I just said, oh, geez, it's an Alien album. Let me pick it up, because the new one didn't immediately click with me either. But I do like bands that come back, make new albums, and so I wanted to check it out. But I have to say that this one here also really hit. I mean, there's the opening track on here, Tears Don't Put Out the Fire, which immediately caught my ear and I enjoyed. But then I listened to the rest of the album, and I've probably been listening to these two more than any of the stuff that I'm showing you in here, but these are both great. So this Alien is just a self-titled release. Double check, yeah. It's self-titled release, Virgin Records, 1989, I believe. This next one here, didn't know anything about the band. The name kind of sounded familiar, but I don't know if it's just similar to other things, but Billionaire Boys Club. This is 1993. It's on Polydor, but I think it's like an import, because I don't know that this would have come out in 1993 in the States. But you can look at it. Totally glam metal at its best. And that's what this is. Sleaze rock even. Just look at that cover. So I saw the cover and I just flipped it over and saw that and said, I'm taking it home with me. And it turned out to be really good as well. I haven't done any homework to see if that band has put out other stuff. Now, something that, because Anthony posted images of these CDs on Instagram, for any of you guys that are in the area of Wayne, New Jersey, and sometimes go to Sound Exchange, Anthony posts on Instagram new releases. He posts restock items. He also posts scores that people came in and sold to him that he's going to put out into the store. And you could see the stuff first and call him up and say, put that on hold. I'm coming down to the store right now. So I saw this one in there. I didn't get it put on hold for me because Anthony had already gone home for the day and then wasn't working. But when I finally did make it in, it was still there. So I made the big score that I wanted to make. Medicine Wheel, and this one here is called First Things First. I believe it is the first album that the band did, and it features Mark Ferrari of Keel. And I had long heard or known that he had been in a band called Medicine Wheel, but I had never seen anything. And I think even if I had looked this stuff up, it was really expensive because I never tracked it down. I have the Keel albums and I have Cold Sweat, but I never got this. And since that time, I've seen other musicians, maybe it's the singer, pop up and then say, from the band Medicine Wheel. And I'm like, oh man, that's the Mark Ferrari group. I really need to check them out. And so I did get that. I think this is 1994. So it's a little bit later on. It's not, sounding quite like Cold Sweat or Keel. It's got a bit of the 90s flavor to it, but it's good nonetheless, and it's great guitar rock because of him. This one was high on my list. I've tried to hunt it down. It was way expensive in any way, shape, or form the way that I wanted to get it, and I lucked out. Didn't even know it was going to be in there. Doug Aldridge, High Centered. I think this is his debut solo album. It's a mix of instrumental and vocal, and he does the vocal on a few of the songs. I have the follow-up album that he did, and it's got more of the 90s drum loops and backbeats and stuff in it. And it's all right, but it isn't great. This is Doug Aldridge shredding on the guitar, and I had wanted it. And so I do keep a list in my phone of things I'm looking for. This was right at the top of it. And I was totally shocked to find it in there. But I mean, with that album cover, and unless you know Doug Aldridge, I don't think anyone was going to be snagging this. This is one of those things that's just, it's hard to come by, and Doug Aldridge fans don't want to let it go. And if you are a fan of Doug Aldridge and want more, it's going to be pretty pricey. But it's just one of those albums that I've never seen before. And I don't know that I would stop and take a second look at an album cover that looks like that. Definitely of the 90s with that album cover. I think this is 1996, but High Centered. Very good. All right, so I actually have multiple versions of this Fastway album on Target. This is the 1994 Griffin edition. And I do have the 1988 GWR, I don't know what that stood for, GWR Records, the original release, but the production or the mixing, I guess, on it is like very high. And it's just, there's no low end on it whatsoever. This one adds it back in. And then I've got a later version where they actually went back in, remixed, added different tracks, maybe even re-recorded some stuff. And I've always had that, and that's a phenomenal album. But I had this on record, and this version in particular on record, and it was really good. And when I got the original GWR version from 88, it just didn't sound right to me. So I've now got three versions. I've got the version that sounds right, what I would call the original version of the album before they remixed, embellished, and did the stuff that they did to it when they called it On Target Reworked. And that came out, I want to say, late 90s, but I could be wrong. Could be early 2000s, and it was on like Receiver Records or something like that. All right, don't really know anything about this group, but I've seen their logo around forever. I'm trying to think if I even have one of their albums somewhere hidden away that I might have picked up, used somewhere, but I don't think so. 220 Volt. This is 1997, and it's called Lethal Illusion, but it sounds like it's 1980s. I don't know, it's a cross between like AOR, hard rock, glam metal. Um, it's a little hard to describe, but it's good. And, just flip over and look at the guys that are there. This is a Japanese release, and it turned out to be really good stuff. So I just threw it in. Again, I don't know much about them. I just know that logo. I'd seen that around for quite some time. I think they were just kind of an underground guitar-based band. If you like, guitar shredding, you're going to like that. So here's one that was a big score, but Anthony also knew what he had, so I paid a kind of a pretty penny. I mean, I got a deal on it, but at the same time, way more. These other ones, $8.99. All the ones I've been showing you up to this point were $8.99. So those were a steal. EZO, the self-titled Japanese release. I had the follow-up, which I think was called Fire. Great album, but not this. I have this on record and wanted this one, but it's, man, just so expensive, hard to come by. Goes for about 40 plus online. Anthony sold it to me for 20, so that's what I'm saying. I got a deal. I'm willing to pay that for it, but really cool to finally get that for the collection. And then just staying on the if you don't know, I mean, that's a Japanese band that Gene Simmons produced, and all the co-writers of Kiss were co-writing on this. Adam Mitchell and Jamie St. James. Forget who else we got on here, but those people. And then the group Anthem, Bound to Break. And let's see if I can find the year. I don't see the year immediately on this. Oh yeah, 87. So this is 1987. Japanese group. Again, when loudness got popular, groups like EZO and Anthem started to get U.S. releases. Basically, if they would sing in English, and these groups started singing in English to get some U.S. market shares. And they all had a little bit of success under their belts at that point. Kind of novelty thing at that time. But I know Anthem because, and I don't remember exactly at what point it was, but Graham Bonnet came in and sang on one of their albums. It might have been like 1990. And so that was awesome. So I've had that album. And then he rejoined them sometime later, made another album. I had that album. But since that time, because I've enjoyed those albums so much, I have gone back and bought some of the Anthem albums that were without him, that was just the original lineup of the guys. And I didn't have this one in the collection. So glad to get this. That's back to being the $8.99er. And then I found this. Jorn Landy, who, I mean, he has sung for a lot of different projects, the Alan Landy group, and then he sang for Snakes, he sang for Master Plan, he sang for Millennium. I can't think of all the different ones, but I know him most under his name, just Jorn, as a band. This is their second studio album, but a really first proper official album, because he's always said that first album was really demos, whereas this was the first time that they really did the whole full production and everything. So this album here, called World Changer, it's a little different sounding than what we know him as today. Today I love what he is. This is still sort of the era. When this came out, I want to say it's like 2001. It's kind of sounding like metal of 2001, as opposed to the more classic rock, bombastic style stuff that he does today, presently, that I love him so much for. That's a little different than that, but still great. All right, so of those 10 releases there, wasn't enough, to have got, I got in the mail stuff from Bad Reputation Records. And if you saw that video, the unboxing, I want to clarify a little bit, because I didn't find out until after. I talked about how the shipment of that got held up in customs, and I later found out why it was held up in customs. The record label guy contacted me and sent me a written statement that was mailed out to him and all the people that deal with this stuff in France, shipping wise, from French Post, basically saying that there used to be a thing in place that anything under $800 was not charged taxes and duties and whatever. And the US took that away. So thank you, Trump. Or his administration, whether he did it or not, it's been taken away. So now everything is going to be taxed, and it's a whole problematic issue. One single CD is going to cost you a lot. We already thought shipping prices had gone through the roof. Well, now you're going to be paying even more than that. I lucked out because my package was sent before, and it got held up in customs, and they would normally have, per this letter, not even send it back to the company. They just throw it away because it didn't pay the taxes and whatever. But apparently the French company that was shipping it did some sort of roundabout way and got it to me. So it worked out in the end of the day, and I got my package, I got my stuff. But unfortunately, I don't know when Eric Hubbard, the owner of Bad Reputation, will be able to ship me stuff again without it costing him a lot of money. And I certainly don't want that to be a thing. And at the same time, if you, the viewers, can't easily order from Bad Reputation, and right now they're not shipping to the US. So unfortunately, I did that video, and the stuff I'm going to show you, you can't order from them. Now, some of this stuff is available through like Amazon, and if Amazon has it in stock, you can get it. So maybe you can still get this stuff through other resellers that are local to where you live, because I highly recommend this first one that I'm going to show you. 38 Special, they reissued Rockin' Into the Night. This album, I didn't have in my collection. I actually thought I had it and was just getting a new remastered edition with some bonus content, and turns out I didn't have it. So it made it even better. When I put it on, of course I recognized the first track, and then I didn't know anything else on it. So that was a lot of fun because I'm always looking for those sort of albums I don't have. And I love 38 Special. Somehow I just didn't have this in my collection. And now I basically have an entire new 38 Special album to listen to, which is great because we have a brand new 38 Special album called Milestone coming out real soon. And they haven't put an album out in like 20 plus years. I want to say like 1998 or something. It's really crazy. Drivetrain was their last album. I don't know. Oh, I do have it close by. This was their last album that they did. Okay, this is 2004, so 21 years it's been. Crazy. All right, anyways, back to this. Sounds great. It's a single disc. The 5 bonus tracks that I talked to you about, I thought they would be live. They are not. They're studio, pulled from the albums. So you get the whole 9 tracks of the album, and then you get 5 of their hits tacked on. I don't really know why they did that. I don't like it personally. If these are alternate versions, single editions, I don't know, something different, it would be worthwhile. But I don't like when the album proper is, I don't know, has stuff tacked onto it that doesn't belong. It's not from the same era. But, that's all right. It's kind of cool, though, if you're buying this one album and you're not buying anything else, and you can also get Hold On Loosely, Wild Eyed Southern Boys. You're getting some other cool hits tacked onto the thing. Cool killer booklet inside, but that's not the power of it. You also get this with it, which is a bonus CD in its own case and packaging, Captured Live 1984 Reunion Arena, Dallas, Texas. 10 tracks. It sounds really good. I don't know if it was from a radio broadcast or what, but it sounds professionally recorded and totally worth it just for that, just for this, in my opinion. But you didn't have this album. It's a fantastic album, man. The song Stone Cold Believer, #2, is so good. So that was great. That was a nice little find. I wasn't expecting much on that. But then I found these, and he sent these to me. So this group called Vamp, and it's The Rich Don't Rock. These guys, glam metal at its greatest. I'm going to see, yeah, there we go. We have a photo on the inside so I can show you now. So I saw that photo. I looked them up. I had never heard of these guys. If I remember correctly, I think they're Dutch. 12 tracks on it. Really good stuff, though. That caught my ear. Some glam metal from a group called Viper. And this is Prepare to Strike. There's a photo of the guys. More leaning on the metal than the glam metal side of things. I think I compared them to Wasp. Trying to remember who else I was thinking of, but definitely more that side of things, Wasp, Twisted Sister. And I never really considered those kind of bands glam metal groups. They get lumped in with it, but to me it's not. The guitars on here are really good. All in all, the album's great though. If you do like glam metal, this is some good stuff. This next one turned out to be way better than I thought. Vengeance, self-titled release. I get some bonus content on this one too. There's the guys. Let me see if there's a better photo of them on the inside to show you. There we go. I was kind of expecting metal, like early, not so much thrash, but just metal. And it's not. It's kind of like leaning more towards the hard rock side of things. And it was just really good. All in all, I listened to this all the way through. I thought I was going to just pop it on for a little brief bit, but man, it was great. And then I have the first Screaming Jets album, and now the second one here called Tear of Thought. This is a 2 CD one. I love Bad Reputation Records, man. Always, if you see them reissuing something, definitely click on it, look at it, even if you're ordering it through Amazon and not them or whatever. But a lot of times they've got killer bonus tracks and bonus CDs. So this one here adds in, I don't know if it's like an EP release called Living in England, and then it does have some live, acoustic, and alternate versions. But there are 4 additional studio tracks that start the second one, and I think that is the EP because they show a cover of it back here, so I wonder if it's that. But there's also 2 bonus tracks on the first disc, so you're getting so much extra content on this great Australian rock band. And then he threw this one in just for good measure, group called Speed Queen, and it's not the same one. There's a new band out that just released their debut album that also has a female vocalist. It's not this group. As far as I know, they're 2 completely different groups. This is the French group, the other one, something different. But Speed Queen, with this woman singing, they sing in French and then sometimes in English. This particular album had 3 English speaking songs or sung songs on it. And then as a bonus, she recorded some solo material or put a solo album out called High Voltage. It says 1999 to 2010, so maybe it's just collected solo material under the name Stevie. And there's 11 tracks on here. And let's see, it looks, yeah, there's actually 3. There are 3 English sung songs on that. The rest is in French. So if you want to hear some cool killer female vocal in the style of like the 1980s Heart material, that's what this is. But just be aware, some of it is in French and then some of it is in English. But there you go, man. Finally back to having a plethora of material to talk to you guys about and share with you. And I've just really felt like my old self having all this great stuff. Next week is going to be a good week because the new Bryan Adams, at least here in the US, everybody was telling me I forgot about it last week when I did the What Just Dropped series on Saturday. In the US, the new Bryan Adams doesn't drop until September 5th, so we have to wait. But we're also getting Glenn Hughes, the new FM, and I forget what else, but a lot of great stuff. So that should be a lot of fun listening as well. All right, there you go. Hopefully you've enjoyed the episode. Weigh in. Let me know what is your latest new music find, new music score, whatever it is that is floating your boat at this time. But all 22 of these are doing it for me. All right, everyone. Take care. Have a good one. And I'll talk to you real soon. Bye-bye.